It took RCB 2 games and they've made history. Their first win in Chepauk in 17 years. Look, one thing is for certain. The RCBians, they haven't come to play. Whether it's Chepauk or Antarctica cricket on ice, they came to this tournament to conquer. And they did it. Right from the get-go, they were on the money. The three guys with the highest strike rates against spin. Okay, we're talking about Phil Salt, Patidar, who was dropped 3 times. Okay, we saw the other day Nicky P against my team DC. He was dropped and he ended up making 70 off 25 balls. Patidar ended up making 50, which at the end of the day was super valuable. He took the attack to the spinners. Him, Jatesh and Salt were brilliant. Okay, how often do you go to Chepauk and you see spinners being hit for economy rates of 9, 10, 11, 12s? I think Jadeja almost went for 13. It was an absolute onslaught by the RCBians today. One thing I will say, in terms of the batting, where we're talking about the RCBians batting now, I know the spinners took some tap today, but I really would have liked to see CSK take a bit of a risk. You know, Tim David comes in, the game still feels quite in the balance. What about introducing a spinner again? You know, Tim David only strikes 100 against spin, put him a bit under pressure, a couple of dot balls, and maybe he loses his wicket. And then 196 or whatever the total was, all of a sudden is a 170, even a 180. But that extra 18 runs, it gave RCB that momentum. You know, they had this step, this jump in their step, skip in their step when they walked off that field, feeling like the game is sort of in the bag. 196 at Chepauk, you know, quite phenomenal. If we're looking at the bowling from RCB, Hazelwood and Bhuvi look quite a combo. Like, let's not even shy away from it. So far for me, I said last night, Shardul Thakur, best bowler of the tournament. Him and Hazelwood have been lighting things up for their teams. It just shows you what a difference it makes. The thing with Hazelwood, he is so good economically. What a difference it makes. If a team has to come out and chase 200, basically, in a place like Chepauk, the difference it makes to build up those dot balls, you know, put those trees back into India's environment, the pressure it builds, and then wickets just tumble. You saw Gaikwad playing a stupid shot. He doesn't usually do things like that. Speaking of the CSK batting lineup, look, if we've been talking about SRH a lot now. We've been talking about LSG, RCB lineup tonight. GT looks a strong batting lineup. But what I'm talking about here is the strength of some of these other batting lineups. Okay, even the Royals, who almost chased 280, they got to 245, you know, at the end, which was pretty good. So how does CSK, how do they compare to some of these more powerful batting lineups? I think we're going to find out in this tournament that I don't think they're going to be able to compete very well, especially not with the likes of Tripathi. I'm still going to say what I'm going to say. At this point, it doesn't really matter when Gaikwad comes in, because at this point, he's basically opening. But Tripathi, Huda, Sam Curran, that's your top 5, guys. 3 of the guys don't look very comfortable at the moment. If Gaikwad and Ravindra don't make scores, then this is the kind of losses that we can expect from CSK, the mighty CSK. Dhoni coming in at 8. I understand this might be his last year, and we have to respect a legend, but it does sort of leave a hole in the batting lineup, especially if the top order isn't firing, then all of the expectations go to the middle order. We know Shivam Dubey is fantastic, but you can't expect him to go in with 150 runs to chase. I've not really seen him ever play that role, I think, to be honest. He's not a guy, I don't think he's not scored a century. Has he even scored a 70 or an 80? I don't know. But there's some real issues in the CSK batting lineup. It's been exposed today, I feel. So what do? How do they counter that? Do you get in a Conway to give you that fast start? Do you just go back to what actually worked for CSK, a Conway and a Gaikwad? How do they move forward from this? Because for me, it's looking very troubling, especially if they have to go and travel to other locations. How are they going to stack up? But today, RCB, they're not just challengers. Like I said before, they came here to conquer. They look such a like I said, there's a real identity. In my other video the other day, I spoke about an identity. Something feels so RCB again about this team that they have right now. One thing though, Livingston's troubles, it continues against spin, but what I really admire about him is that he is here, he is in India, he came to play cricket, he wants to do better. Where Harry Brook decided not to come, Ben Duckett decided he doesn't want to come here. Tim David said it in the second innings, it's because of the past few years in India of playing cricket here that he feels that he is finally getting into things, getting into the conditions, you know, the crowds, the pitches, the grounds. So respect has to go there for Livingston, but my goodness, this RCB. And Kohli did try and play that anchor role. I think a lot of people might criticize his innings, but at the end of the day, it's actually what is needed on some of these a little bit tougher pitches. Not a very traditional Chepauk pitch today, but yeah, a little bit of shine on the wicket there. But yeah, I thought it was as I see Dhoni hit a 6 now. Look, it's still going to be a big loss here for CSK tonight. Yeah, what do you think? What would you do to the batting order? Should a Jamie Overton maybe come in? What are your thoughts? Very interesting match, and RCB look absolutely deadly.